Hello and welcome back to Tech Latest from Nikkei Asia, where we bring you the freshest updates from the technology sector in Asia. I'm your host, Akito Tanaka from Nikkei Asia's Tokyo headquarters. And Lauly Li, Nikkei Asia tech correspondent based in Taipei, will join me for this very first episode of 2025. In this episode, we'll discuss China's memory chip ambitions, as well as other stories that we recommend to our readers. Welcome to this week's episode, Lauly. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Akito. It's great to be back.
All right. So for Nikkei Asia's weekly Tech Asia feature story, you wrote about Chinese chip companies' ambition to enter a new market segment, which is DRAM. First of all, what is DRAM and why is it important for Chinese chip companies to capture this new market?
Yes, I worked on this Chinese DRAM story with my colleague Annie Chen Fang this week. DRAM, or Dynamic Random Access Memory, is a type of memory chip that is essential in every electronic product. However, it is also considered a commodity, given it is highly standardized and its prices are highly sensitive to market supply and demand fluctuations. And that being said, building up capability and capacity of DRAM has been one of the top priorities for China's grand self-sufficient ambition to cut its reliance on global leading DRAM makers such as Samsung or SK Hynix or Micron and some more from Taiwan. And the urgency to bolster Chinese DRAM makers' capacity amplified in recent years due to the escalating Washington and Beijing tech war.
You mentioned a few Chinese companies investing in the DRAM business. Now, who are these companies and are they successful in producing DRAMs?
Currently, the top Chinese DRAM champion goes to Changxin Memory Technologies, or CXMT. China's global market share went from virtually zero in 2019 to 5% last year, and is on course to grow to 10% this year. CXMT's aggressive capacity expansion is the main driver behind this achievement, and it has successfully produced low-power DDR4 and DDR4, which is the older generations of DRAM that are used in entry-level to mid-range smartphones, computers, and tablets. But it has started providing a small batch of low-power DDR5, which is a grade that has been used in premium smartphones like the iPhone or Samsung Galaxy S and Z series since around 2020. And moreover, CXMT is working on high bandwidth memory, or HBM, a critical component for AI computing. So other than CXMT, there are many more smaller Chinese DRAM makers as well, such as Fujian Jinhua Integrated Circuit, and as well as Suisure. And they are both backed by Huawei to develop DRAMs.
Very interesting. And what are Chinese companies' strengths in this DRAM business? And obviously, what are the challenges that they have in making this DRAM businesses more successful?
Well, price and local market are definitely their biggest strengths, because DRAM is a heavily subsidized industry in China due to the country's ambition of self-reliance, and also because of the U.S. endless measures to crack down Chinese tech suppliers like Huawei and the country's biggest contract chip maker, SMIC. So the Chinese government has been urging the use of locally made chips and components by Chinese companies. And that gives a strong edge for newcomers like CXMT to make inroads in their home market. However, geopolitics could be a hurdle. CXMT is not included on the U.S. trade blacklist. The U.S. Defense Department flagged the company as being linked to the Chinese military. So that could potentially affect its partnership and collaboration in global market going forward. And also Fujian Jinhua and Suisure that I just mentioned earlier, they are both blacklisted by the U.S. Department of Commerce, so making them very hard to access to American technologies such as chip production equipment.
So you mentioned earlier that South Korean companies and the U.S. companies has been dominating the global DRAM market. Will Chinese chip companies' entry into the DRAM market affect these Korean or the U.S. companies and the global market?
Yes, definitely. According to our interviews with industry people and analysts, leading DRAM makers from South Korea, US, and Taiwan will start feeling more pressure as Chinese DRAM makers now grow their capacity and start moving forward from entry-level DRAM to higher-end products. And as DRAM is considered a commodity, any increase by new suppliers can put more pressure on existing players and affect the global market. And on top of that, given China's local for local policy, it is making it more challenging for foreign players like Samsung and Micron to sell in the Chinese market.
Very interesting. Thank you. Are there any other Nikkei Asia tech stories that you want to recommend to our readers this week?
Yes, we have several stories about the Biden administration's flurry of export controls on AI chips, AI data center, as well as restricting chip makers like TSMC and Samsung from providing advanced manufacturing services to Chinese and other unverified chip developers globally. And I also have a story about China is increasing its scrutiny of exports by Apple and other American tech companies, which is hampering their efforts to expand their production in Southeast Asia and India.
Great. Thank you, Lauly. We are recording this podcast on Friday, and we are waiting for Trump's inauguration speech soon, next week. What do you think will be the biggest tech theme or the theme in the technology industry for this year, Lauly?
Well, I attended like several year-end banquet at the Taiwanese suppliers from, MacBook maker like Quanta or iPhone assembler Pegatron. And the common theme is that the executives, they all say, we don't know. They all say that we don't know what's going to happen. So the biggest theme will be uncertainty. And let's wait and see until, next Monday.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. And I hope your reporting will provide a lot of light into this uncertain tech world, Lauly.
I certainly hope so.
So that's all for this week's episode. You can read more of Lauly's reporting along with other stories about Asia's tech industry on Nikkei Asia's website, asia.nikkei.com. Thank you for listening, and please come back for our next episode.